The White
Thank you, my
House
friend.
is doubling down now against Florida's new parental rights education law. This is turning into a bigger battle than anyone might have thought of. It bans classroom instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity for children in kindergarten through third grade. I want to say that again. The ages that we're talking about are 5 to 8 years old. Press Secretary Jen Psaki ducked a question about it from our own Peter Ducey.
At what age does the White House think that students should be taught about sexual orientation and gender identity?
As we look at this law, what we think it's a reflection of is politicians in Florida propagating misinformed, hateful policies that do absolutely nothing to address the real issues.
Psaki this week said that the Department of Justice is well positioned to take action against the law if it is determined to be in violation of federal civil rights statutes. And New York City Mayor Eric Adams is launching an ad campaign to encourage LGBTQ Floridians to come to the Big Apple, where he says they can be themselves. In focus now, Jason Rantz, radio talk show host for KTTH Seattle. Jason, the developments in this story certainly make this rise to a bigger occasion.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a bigger issue than just about gender identity. This has everything to do with whether or not we're going to indoctrinate kids on a very specific left-wing viewpoint of gender. This has become political. Gender should not be political. Unfortunately, it now has, where it's now apparently controversial to define what a woman is, to explain that maybe there is some kind of material that shouldn't be in front of kids. And that's the thing. Everyone seems to agree, Democrats and Republicans and everything in between, that there is a level of content that is inappropriate for kids. Where that line is might depend on how far to the left you are. But I think when you look at the polling on this particular bill, when you tell people what it actually is, instead of lying and say, you can't say gay in the classroom, when you're honest about it, the people support the bill. Because we're not saying you should never have these conversations in a classroom. We're talking about the age-appropriate nature of it.
All right, I want to get to this. Last week, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, when she was on the Hill, refused to answer the definition of the word woman. She was asked about that by Senator Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee. After that, Fox News reached out to several Biden administration agencies with the same question, and they were unable to provide their definition for criteria for a person to be categorized as a woman, despite boasting earlier entire initiatives aimed at helping women. So the Merriam-Webster definition has it this way: woman, an adult female person. Pretty simple, and it gets us into the conversation that you would hope that a future justice on the U.S. Supreme Court would be able to get into at this period in America's history, where we're talking about transgender and what do we do with the NCAA and sports and so on. This isn't some cultural topic that just fell out of the sky. Major U.S. corporations grappling with it and taking sides, Disney.
Absolutely. I think most people can define a woman. If you're in the position where you can't do that or you refuse to do that, number one, you shouldn't have any say as to what should be taught in a classroom. But number two, you're pretty much telling us exactly where you stand. Despite what USA Today says, science does make it simple, and you don't have to be a biologist to figure any of this out. Obviously. So the question becomes, why do they continue to pretend that biology doesn't actually exist? Gender identity in the context that we're talking about here is in fact a choice. It is not sort of a green light to be disrespectful of people who have a different gender identity than their biology suggests. It is not a reason to discriminate against. But there are some basic facts, and facts have to matter. Words have to matter. Science does have to matter. So please stop it on the left with this, oh, we believe in science. No, you don't. Not if you're unwilling to just accept some basic truths.